Asset. Something of value. Property. At least that's what the dictionary says. But I'd be very skeptical of that when I think of asset. Something of value seems close, but value that gives seems a little bit better. And as far as property, property that cash flows a little bit better than simply property. So when you consider your house, your car, your job, all of those things are not necessarily assets. Your house, your car, if you have payments for those, it requires your money. If you have a job, that requires your time. An asset should be able to create value on its own. So, what does that mean? How do we recognize that? Well, the first thing is we have to recognize the definition. So many define assets to be property. If they own it, they assume that it is an asset. And the game appears to be acquiring assets in order to create wealth. That has an underlying assumption that the more property you have, the wealthier you are. And that is what the system wants you to believe. With that, a score is being kept on what you have acquired, and that perhaps translates to how important or how valuable you actually are. But is that the truth? Well, if we take a step back and see what it all means, the truth is that property that takes money out of your pocket is a liability, not an asset. People are winning and losing based on their definitions of an asset, and most are losing. And that gap between the rich and the poor and the middle class continues to grow. Wealth and debt are not necessarily bad things. Wealth is not necessarily always good. Debt is not necessarily always bad. Both are tools that can be used to create assets. Most people want wealth and they want to avoid debt. But each of these are tools, and tools are useless unless you know how to use them. How can you create an asset? Well, first, you need to have the correct definition for an asset. Second, you must understand the difference between assets and liabilities. 3, you want to study how assets work so that you can identify them. And 4, you want to be resourceful as you acquire them. Now, where do you begin? Well, a basic study of value would be very helpful. And if you have not heard of this already, it is called finance. You want to know how finance works before you start to invest. When you do begin to invest, when you begin to make any type of financial decision, you want that decision to be yours. It helps to have advisors, but it is even more important that you are the one making the decisions. No one cares as much about your future as you do.